A meteor crash one fateful day turned muddled creatures into clay, with heroes bent on doing right and twisted foes up for the fight. ClayFighter!
1-to-1 they set the stage.
ClayFighter!
Pounding clay is all the rage.
That may have been all to the tale.
Every civilization since the dawn of mankind, legends have risen from the ashes. Some persist, others subside. But one thing is for certain: legends never die.
I'm without words. I am without words. ClayFighters is finally officially coming back. For the longest time, I always felt like I was the only ClayFighter fan on the planet. And being an arcade rat from the early 90s, you were always hungry for any fighting game that was available back then. Once you got your fix with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, you would go on to the SNK titles and everything, but you would even find fighting games at home that were exclusively at home. And games like ClayFighters and Power Moves, and if you had a Neo Geo with Waku Waku 7, you played any fighting games you could get your hands on with your buddies. Because sometimes going to the arcades and playing a quarter shot wasn't easy back in the old smoky arcade days. But ClayFighters was a game that always interested me. And I loved their advertising, how they always did pot shots against the other fighting game franchises at the time. And I just found the animation style very cool too. And the characters were interesting. Also, the voice acting, and it had a really, really cool theme song. But it slowly kind of lost its way around, and then around the N64 era, and especially when one of them was only a rental exclusive, it kind of tapered off. Mind you, also fighting games kind of started to taper off too at that point, and it wasn't a rich quick scheme anymore, fighting games for companies. So ClayFighters disappeared, and then around the time of the DS era, there was this hype that was like, oh, you know, ClayFighters, Call of Putty, you know, being ClayFighters, always playing a joke on the name and stuff. Like, the original ClayFighters Tournament Edition was just Championship Edition, or Tournament Edition, however you want to look at it. C2, ClayFighters 2 is Terminator 2, and ClayFighters 63 and a third playing on the N64 thing, but also kind of like Naked Gun, where their name was Naked Gun 33 and a third or whatever. And then Sculptor's Cut, Director's Cut. You know, they always did play on words and stuff. So Call of Putty was Call of Duty. But this was like in development hell, this thing. And every image that we ever saw of it for the DS seemed like they were just taking the N64 game and just kind of like cleaning it up a bit and putting, you know, some, you know, little touch stuff here and there and just putting it on the DS. And in all honesty, a lot of us were kind of like, yeah, it's good to get a new ClayFighter game, but it doesn't seem like an actual new ClayFighter game. It just seemed like another kind of like cleanup and port, which the DS was doing a lot at the time. But now we got this trailer.
Many moons ago in 1994, a series was born from the bowels of Interplay Entertainment that won the hearts of millions.
And this trailer is created hype, and I mean, got the official word from Interplay too, of all kinds of information that the trailer did not point out. And I mean, they were really teasing with the Earthworm Jim thing, because ClayFighters and Earthworm Jim were created in '94, and Interplay right now has the rights to the Earthworm Jim franchise, where it used to be Virgin, and Playmates had a little bit of it too. So it was teased to be Earthworm Jim. It actually was ClayFighters. We had the music even that was kind of like the Killer Instinct character select screen.
Many moons ago in 1994.
Glacius. Deep Thunder.
The music was done by Oni NG, which is a famous animator on the internet. A little image of Bad Mr. Frosty was done by Psychic Pebbles, another famous animator. So even there's a lot of dudes from the internet that were kind of doing this stuff. So it's pretty cool that everyone got a little piece of that. But that being said, we have the official word now of everything about the game. It's going to be done with Interplay and Drip Drop Studios. Now, I have no idea who these Drip Drop guys are. I kind of tried to look it up. It doesn't seem like they have much of a backstory, so that's kind of concerning. But I just hope that Interplay really picks it up from there. Confirmed characters: Bad Mr. Frosty, Blue Suede Goo, Tiny from the original. We got Hoppy from C2, and he got a new body in the later ClayFighter games. Boogerman and Earthworm Jim, guys from the N64 games, they were unlockables. Those are the ones that are confirmed. Now, the one I find weird that they didn't confirm is Blob, because Blob has been in all three, and I've always felt he's been one of the more iconic characters. I mean, Bad Mr. Frosty really is the Ryu to ClayFighters, but I always felt that Blob was also like one of those guys, like he has to be there. So it's not confirmed, but they said that there's going to be over 20 characters. Now, considering that ClayFighters as a whole, the whole franchise only really had about 32 unique characters, and even those 32 unique characters, you could kind of like cut that down because a lot of them were like doppelganger versions, so the actual list is more like, I'd have to say 23. Then, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I hope that, you know, I guess if you cut out like Dr. Killenklein's hand and Boss, you could really get all 20 of the original characters kind of already in there. But you want some new guys too, right? Now the next thing they mention is 20 familiar environments, or levels really. Now I think when you think of memorable and familiar levels, you think more of like the first ClayFighter games, specifically like the original and Tournament Edition of Genesis port. That had like, you know, Taffy Man's Taffy stage where it's all like globby kind of stuff, or Bad Mr. Frosty's stage, or Helga's first stage that we all were familiar with playing the game, Blue Suede Goo. I think that they're probably going to do stuff more like that. They're going to bring back those old levels, so that's pretty cool that they're throwing back and homaging that kind of stuff, because I think that at this point the success will stem more from nostalgia than trying to just do something completely new. I mean, that's something that really the Killer Instinct brand is trying to do, to keep those old fans by throwing back to the old stuff. And even Mortal Kombat does that. Anything that's not Street Fighter really has to remind people of the past in order to move forward at this point. Now they mentioned new gameplay mechanics. Now there's double jumping, air dash, counters, reversals, and it's going to also have supers, and of course the ever famous Mortal Kombat parody, the Claytality. So the mention of double jumping, kind of uncommon in fighting games, usually the Double Dragon fighting game, stuff like that, that had jumping as a double jump. Not many have that. Chun-Li jumping off the wall, Vega maybe, you know. Air dash, that's a Smash Brothers thing. Some games have that. That reminds me more of Mega Man, had an air dash. Counters, Killer Instinct. So there's going to be combos, probably counters. That was something that was kind of put in a little bit in the 64 game, but reversals, almost every fighting game had reversals of some kind. So, and super moves, kind of a standard at this point when it comes to fighting games. You got to have your super moves. And then the last thing they mentioned, this is the one that really is the one that kind of makes me go, what's going on here? So they say it's a remastering of audio and high-res visuals, and to provide the ultimate clay-based gaming experience. Now, two parts in that. Number one, the clay-based experience, which is good, because it means that it's going to probably be clay-based animation, which is a lost art in my opinion. I'd hate it if they just went CG straight up. And the remastering part. Now, a lot of people have been speculating, is this going to be just a remake? They're going to bring back the old game that probably didn't happen in the DS days, and which was the N64 game, and remaster it for this. But I think that because the official lineup has Blue Suede Goo, it has Tiny in there, mixed in with characters that were exclusive to the N64 ones like Boogerman, Earthworm Jim, really makes me think that it's going to be a new game, because Blue Suede Goo pretty much disappeared after the original 3 here. He wasn't in, you know, ClayFighters 2, 64, and Sculptor's Cut. Same thing with Tiny. Those were guys that kind of disappeared. So I think that it's going to be an all-new game, all-new designs, which would be really good to have some updated designs of those characters. I mean, Bad Mr. Frosty has always kind of been an evolution of that character, whether it be a backwards cap or anything. But yeah, it's going to be really cool. It's going to be really cool. I mean, the thing about 20 characters, I kind of hope that they get most of the original cast. Maybe some of the more forgettable ones will be dropped to then put new characters. Like, I mean, you could leave out Nanaman, I guess, or Kangagoo, you know. But yeah, I'm pretty hyped. I am pretty hyped, and ClayFighters is back, you know. Hit 'em, smack 'em, they don't care. So that's all I really got to say about that. Interesting news from Interplay and Drip Drop Studios. That doesn't roll off the tongue very easily. So this is Protoman in his gaming domain, and glad it's not another Earthworm Jim title. Don't get me wrong, I love Earthworm Jim, but I prefer ClayFighters more. So until then, guys, take care and keep gaming.
Get ready for a brand new. It's ClayFighter. Oh.